PTA Global, and I'm joined here with Dan Duran, who is one, will always be a client of mine. And what I want to do is just continue on with the On the Floor series that we've looked at, Dan specifically, in some of the workouts and the whole process of PTA Global. He's been knee-deep and indoctrinated through the PTA Global process. You've gone through the questionnaires, you've done all the different movements, you've gone through the programming. And what I want to do is let Dan now take over and just give his feedback on his thoughts, his feelings, his perceptions, his experience using the PTA Global mentality, philosophy, process, system, all of that stuff. And just kind of wherever you want to go with it, Dan, just let them know, the whole community, what you thought and felt as you went through the process.
You know, I started doing training for myself, over 20 years ago with sports and college football and things like that, which was very, very, bench press, squat, deadlift, clean type of exercises for performance. And that was about the extent of it from high school through college. From there, I became more and more interested, became certified in NASM, and I'm a personal trainer here at the club, as well as privately. And I still came into this with a very one-dimensional approach to weightlifting. And I always have had that. The only thinking outside the box came from martial arts training, and that's where the three-dimensional movement came. But when I walked into the gym floor, everything was very traditional movement. And that's how I trained people, because I trained them in what I knew. Six, 8 months ago, you did a workshop here, and you introduced us to three-dimensional movement, and we all did it, and I thought it was great. I thought, wow, this is good stuff. Start moving the body the way it's intended to move, rather than keeping it in a very fixed position and focusing on one muscle group or two at a time. The thing I couldn't quite wrap my head around was how I could apply all of these movements to what I thought, my model of traditional hypertrophy training. Which is, a curl, and then you add more weight, and then you add more weight, or you do a dumbbell press, and you add more weight. You do a lat pull down, you add more weight, you decrease reps or up or down and cycle through, change the back exercise. Just couldn't quite wrap my head around it. And I was thinking more about me than even clients, thinking how, if I want to try to work through a hypertrophy cycle, how am I going to do this? So I emailed you and said, one of these days we need to chat, so I can figure out how this is even, and in my head it just didn't make sense. Now, I don't know how you would do it without it. Because to me, it's part of a progression. It's progressive resistance. And just a very simple example is taking just a rope press down, a very traditional press down, and adding a little bit of movement, and then adding a little bit of foot movement, and then adding some trunk rotation, and even more trunk rotation. It's the same basic exercise. It's still targeting the same muscle group, but it's hitting it from all different angles and using your whole body. Everything I do now incorporates three-dimensional motion, and it starts from a small bubble, and I make it bigger and bigger, and it's not the same size bubble for everybody, and some people it's really big. But it's been by far the most profound thing that I have been able to apply to my training and to the people I train with. And the best part is the education when I share it with my client, because nobody's seen this kind of stuff before. It just doesn't look right because of the traditional model and the traditional movement. Right. And while I'm explaining this is why it's important, this is why you have myofascial lines that run this way and that way, and this is what creates posture like so, and like this, we need to move this, we need to move that. It all clicks and it makes sense to them. Yeah. And they love it, and they think, you know what, I'm getting some quality training, this guy actually wants me to move better. Imagine that. So what can I say? To me, it's the most profound thing I've learned in physical training in my career. And I'm just scratching the surface. I know I have a lot more to learn. So it's been a great experience. I feel better than ever. I move a lot better. I have a lot less binding in my hips and knees. When we first started working together, I was much stiffer. I don't have the issues that I did. But I'm applying it. Every time I do a workout, I try to think of another way to apply the principles of how can I just make one little change, knowing that one little change in one part of my body affects the entire rest of my body. How can it, as simple as just turning my toe in on something that might involve a movement all the way out here, I now understand it's all connected. So how can I do it? So it makes it fun. Yeah. It makes it fun. The other thing is if somebody does something and it doesn't look quite right, but I can tell that it's beneficial, I don't have to correct them on it because I know it's helping them.
Right.
So it's been really, really good.
That's a pretty powerful statement, is knowing that the body wants to almost cheat intuitively. And that's why people cheat, because the body wants to distribute forces that way. It's not that we can't do it the other way, but we force it to do the other way. And so when you see someone cheating, you now have a different perspective.
Absolutely.
And it's not, you don't have to go up and negate them, you can actually validate them by either complimenting them or helping them. You know, Dan, something else, you've gone through the whole process. You went through the questionnaire, and you've gone through the daily readiness observation that we did every day. What was your thought, feeling going through the initial questionnaire and then having that daily readiness observation that we use every single time we would train?
I think that it's something that I was conscious of before we started working together, but not to the depth that you introduced me. Knowing where a person is starting their workout and where they are, whether they've eaten, whether they've slept, you know the traditional, do you have any injuries? Okay, that's kind of usually what, if people remember that one. But now it's, how are you feeling now? What are you doing after this? What did you do yesterday? What are you doing, later? Taking all of the environment that a person's in and where they came from and where they're going to, where their body is, where their recovery is, and being able to model your workout to cater to that so that you don't overtrain them, so they have an opportunity to recover, is huge. And it's something else that, my old mentality was, if you didn't leave here dripping, I didn't do my job. Now my mentality is, which I learned from you, is if you don't leave here feeling better than when you got here, then I didn't do my job. And since we've started working together, I can't even count, seriously, on both hands, how many times the clients come in here stiff, tired, no sleep is the big one. And I had to literally spend an entire workout doing nothing but stretching. That was not the way I thought before. Just basic movement, stretching, some foam rolling, some discussion, and they leave here and they go, that was great. I said, do you feel better when you got here? Yes. All right, then I'll see you next time. So that's been huge, and that comes from where the daily readiness, asking them where they are right now so that I know where I need to take them for the next half an hour or an hour, so that I know at the end of that time where I'm going to leave them to be able to do the things that they need to do.
Anything else? Anything else that you think they would want to know or that they would hear because you're in their shoes?
I think that, again, I already stated it once, but I can't really overstate that taking the traditional model of movement and understanding that is traditional. Let's just leave it at that. That is traditional. There's a lot more to movement, excuse me, than we've been applying as trainers. We've done a disservice to our clients, and I think most of us are probably guilty of that at some point. And I'm still, we still learn, but taking that way of thinking and thinking, no, this is the only way, or this is the way it's shown in the book, or this is the way it's shown in the video, and understanding that there are so many different things you can do with movement that you can't write a book on it. You just have to understand the principle and the philosophy and why you do it, and then you make it work. The book would be too big if you demonstrated all the ways to move.
Yeah.
So I think if you're a hard, old-fashioned, or traditional movement kind of person, give it a try. And the best way to try it is on yourself. When you feel it the way it makes you feel, you'll be a believer.